Can you hear me? Microphone working?
Hello.
Mm.
Oh. Uh, uh,
Yes, I think it's good. I hope so. I've never done it before, so I'm hoping I don't talk too much and kind of let people watch you instead of listening to me talk. It'll go. Hmm. Yeah, so it'll be fine. Alright, are we ready? Ah, sorry. Okay. So using the type 2 check. Type 2 is actually a different level things. So a little shift around. It takes the other check. Crimzon also has a lock-on option. You can see him using there. So you can see he starts by going to enemies at the top of the screen. He's point blanking here. And that point blanking helps him obviously do damage quickly, but it also helps build power gauge at the bottom. Power gauge works a lot like Gradius. He can upgrade his speed, his options, and his lock-on power. So he'll focus on upgrading speed, option, and lock-on before he enters break mode in the middle of the stage. There's the green multiplier number on the right hand of the screen. Multiplier activates when he kills things with the lock-on, and is higher based on how many lock-ons he has active when he kills the enemy. So obviously, you want to focus on the biggest lock-on possible to get the biggest multiplier possible. He's just entered break mode here, kind of a hyper mode that this multiplier, it will make additional items appear, shooting, etc. In this section of the page, he's trying to speed kill enemies very quickly, because new enemies will appear once the old ones are gone. The large items that are dropping here are EX items. which become very important for score. The higher his EX item counts, the more points he will get just for shooting enemies. So right now his points are mainly coming from EX items, enemy kills. Later in the run become very different, where you get more points for just shooting enemies from any other source. Bosses in the game typically have destructible parts. Focus on weakening them out as much as possible and finishing them off with full lock-on. Give him a lot of and give him the opportunity to start a new multiplier using his full lock-on here. As is kind of common in these situations, finding parts will make the boss more aggressive, so it's important to do that kind of carefully. At the end of each stage, he gets a bonus based on this or not, as well as the number of stars he collects, both during the stage and cumulatively across the game. Start stage 2 by trying to lock onto as many of these small enemies as possible to start a high chain, which he'll then have a pretty easy time maintaining from the start of the stage. He's got a 20 EX multiplier here, now up to 25, and that will be very useful for scoring. I'm going to stay as high up on the screen as possible, both for kind of speed killing for safety, but you'll see that enemies have started to launch revenge bullets, which are sealed. Kill them closely. Section, there's a lot of small or mid-sized enemies that spawn very quickly, and they can cause a lot of trouble if they are allowed to pile up. He's using the search formation for his options, which lock onto enemies and is very good for clearing that area. Second half of the stage here, saw that in the background launched a series of bombs. Those each drop an EX item, one of the large stars. So it's pretty important to let them fire off before you kill them. Fortunately, once you do kill them, they give a screen cancel, which helps keep the stage manageable. These large red ships here have a couple of turrets up on the front. You can destroy for extra items. Once you do that, they get a lot more dangerous. So, kind of a risk-reward situation, how you want to handle them. Stage 2 boss has these 6 arms that it uses to crawl around the screen. Each arm has 4 sections, and each can be used separately. In destroying them, they drop a large item, so focus on killing as many of those parts as possible for points, but also because later in the fight, they are shooting bullets right now, become much more dangerous the fight goes on. So probably what he's going to do is try to focus on clearing out as many of them on one side as possible, which will make part of the screen much safer later on here. So this is one situation where the more parts that are alive, the heavier the bullet spray is. The boss will punch first on the right, then the left, punch in the center. So it's kind of important to know where you can or can't be at that point. So now he's focusing on just finishing off those last few sections here with the phase transition with the full cancel. And now we're in the last phase of the boss. This section here becomes a lot more dangerous if the arm sections are alive, because they'll start shooting lines of bullets at him, which, because he doesn't have a lot of room to maneuver, is really difficult to deal with, particularly if his speed is high. So, no miss for both stages, that's good. And each stage's no miss bonus rises by 20 million. Stage 2 was a 40 million miss for no miss. Again, starting with the big cancel, lock on. You saw just how many revenge bullets coming out now and how fast they're going, so managing those is super important. This section, there will be that come out of alternating sides of the screen. Speed killing them allows more to spawn, and they drop the EX items. Did take a hit there and have to use his shield. That kicks him out of break mode and makes him restart his break chain. Fortunately, it's pretty quick to get back into break mode. He does lose out on bonus points for losing his chain. Time he fills the break meter on the left there, a bonus. Bonus is increased or is multiplied based on how many bonuses he's had in a single break session. That multiplier resets if he hit and leaves break. So he'll be rebuilding that multiplier as he increases his chain. He's going to speed kill the mid-boss here. The faster he kills the mid-boss, the faster he will kill the enemies that spawn after the mid-boss, so dies the more enemies he has to kill. And similar to the beginning of the stage, after he kills these mid-sized enemies, more will spawn. But this comes with the additional complication of there being a lot of smaller enemies being in the way and firing at. Ships that are shooting of red bullets have two turrets have a turret on either side of them. Those both drop like 4-star items or 4 EX items when killed. So it's another situation where you to make sure you kill all of the parts before you finish off the main enemy for extra items. Snakes here will explode 2 EX items for each of their segments. Those are lucrative. It's important any of them get away. the opening of the stage 3 boss, positioning is really important. If you don't know the way it moves, it can do in pretty bad as it moves from to left. So easy to dodge once you know where to sit. Otherwise, the first stage isn't too complicated. Move to avoid the sweeps of bullets here. What just happened there was a screen cancel based on his power meter filling up. In break mode, your power meter continues to fill so that you can change your option type or change your speed. But if it fills up completely, it will screen of bullets and create items. It's a pretty small source of points, but it can be useful for survival. But it's not really manageable. In the second phase here, the boss will open up these petals around it, which are each, you can destroy each of those for medals. But he's going to want to manage the damage he does to them while it's doing this laser attack, because obviously if he kills a hurt and he's not directly beneath it, he's not going to be able to run and grab that medal without running into a laser. The boss will kind of repeat the same behavior here, with each round of the laser spin having a few more bullets fired along with it. Here's another situation where the search option is super helpful because it allows him to keep shooting the boss, doing damage, getting tick points, even while the thing is going on. Final stage of the boss here is just bullet spam. It's kind of simple but deadly. So in the stage 3 score pane up in the upper right-hand corner, you can already see that the shot hit score is higher than any of the others, any of the other categories. So more than he got for shooting down items, more than he enemies, more than he got for getting items. It's a huge part of score from this point on. Stage 4 here is another situation where the enemies quickly get you additional enemies. These large bombers that are sweeping in here will drop a lot of medals, especially now that there's 4 on the screen. You can see that collecting all the items they drop becomes very difficult because they slowly flood you with revenge bullets. Pre-mid boss here. Doesn't stick around long. I noticed that his lock-on has changed. Default, the lock-on is kind of put on your ship, and it will lock on to anything within a certain radius. But he's changed his style to have a lock-on that's focused on the in front of him in that red circle. This becomes really important later on in the stage for controlling what he's locking onto and what he's damaging. He's making that change a little bit early. You watching stage 2 and wondering where the mid-boss is, it's here. In the base game, this mid-boss is usually in stage 2. It has these 2 side pods that detach and fire at him independently of the main body. It can get pretty hectic if he doesn't kill one or both of them quickly. real stage 4 mini-boss is this set of 6 O-type enemies that will trap him between a set of interlocking lasers. Them can be destroyed independently, and they will re-trap him and fire a little bit more aggressively with each reorganization. So the goal here would be to try to them relatively equally, so that not a large period of time where he has to dodge in between playing them off. As to his search options, the section is pretty trivial. Those enemies fly straight at him, but his options kill them before they get close. In the last section of the stage, where these red enemies from stage 2 pop in, you can be very, very dangerous when there's 2 of them on screen, particularly if you manage to pick off some of their turrets at the front. They're very aggressive, and they're very aggressive together. So, really good handling there, because that's a very easy place to take a hit. He's also changed his option type a little bit for this boss. He's turned off the search option, which again kind of gives him more control over what he's damaging. Stage 4 boss, like all the others, has a lot of different parts, but stage 4 is really where, particularly in phase 1, if you come in the wrong order, or can kill them too fast, boss can be very difficult to deal with. So, this part, controlling his boss destruction, is a matter of survival. The second part, it will become a scoring thing, much more than a survival field. So the second phase of the stage 4 boss is a big milking opportunity. The boss has these two turrets on either side of it, which will respawn kind of infinitely until the phase ends. He's going to focus his fire primarily on killing those exclusively. He's going to try not to damage the main body in the process, which again is kind of why he would turn off his search options and a lock-on option that gives him more control over what's getting locked onto. Each time he kills one, it does a bit of the boss's health away, so it can't go on forever. By controlling where he's doing damage, he can make sure that he's getting most turrets possible. There are 3 or 4 possible turrets that can be added to the boss here, so it can be quite random, and depending on the turret types, they can all get quite hectic if the wrong combination pops up. For the last phase, these laser cannons on the side are destructible. If you kill some of them off prematurely, the rest of the bullets break and be quite difficult to deal with. No miss, very nice. So stage 5 is going to be the longest stage and the difficult, for obvious reasons. Enemies really do spawn from all over the place in stage 5, so where in previous stages you had the luxury of hanging out near the top of the screen to to minimize revenge bullets. Here he'll have enemies spawning in from behind him, from the sides, etc. That makes it a little bit more difficult to have free reign over the screen and hang out where he wants to. So you'll see, especially after this opening section, there's a few revenge bullets on screen because it's very difficult to position and keep position to seal them up. He's right here. He was milking some of those destructible missiles from the large ship there. That's nice for points, but it also helps him extend his multiplier timer a little bit, since you get additional time for the missiles you kill. But here, like I said, there's a lot of revenge bullets here, and it's pretty difficult to manage. It's an easy place to take a hit, simply because of the number of bullets on screen. But super quick to get back into break mode, so we can start scoring again immediately. You can see that there's so many enemies flying in and being shot down that the multiplier timer is kind of maxing out at 999. It's great because he really wants to maintain his multiplier to the mid-boss, which is coming up here. He just switched his style back to being around the ship rather than directly in front of the ship. It helps him later in the stage when he's going to want to lock on to everything to get his hands on. So this mid-boss here is a kind of a large tank that drives down the road. There's more of these destructible missiles, and he's going to try to milk these as much as possible. So we'll have 2 cycles where it fires these missiles. This is an example of that screen clear for filling your power gauge is really useful because it allows you to cut back the other way while the missiles are firing. Each round of those missiles will gain him a couple hundred million, so they're definitely worth sticking around, and if he's managed to maintain his multiplier, they're going to be worth quite a lot more. So I think 2 laps of that is all the game allows. So now he can focus on killing the 2 turrets on the upper section of the here, and then finishing the mid-boss off. Okay, so now he's in the final stretch. You'll start to see a lot of familiar enemies in this part of the stage, starting with the stage 2 boss, which come at you from behind this time. Each of those sections can be destroyed for star items. You'll want to do that. There's another situation where the search options useful for attacking things behind him, though he's locking on and firing off to do damage as quickly as he can to that enemy. And with many situations, the faster he kills them, the more will come to take the previous enemy's place. And at this point, some of those bombers firing missiles will spawn, And again, he'll kill them as fast as possible to encourage more to come. You can see he's had almost 100 boost bonuses at this point. And the bonus is getting quite high. It's getting up to just under 20 million per bonus. And that is multiplied based on the boost chain. The boost chain can multiply that bonus by up to three times, which I think you get the 3-time multiplier for a chain of 10 or higher. So every time he loses the boost chain, it takes him a while to build back up, but the cap is quite low on that multiplier, and he back up to max value pretty quickly. It was a really good dodge. This area here it feels almost impossible to manage if you're not pretty familiar with it. Very good at handling the situation. There's the stage 3 boss again, shooting lasers at him. And now he's moving into the stage 5 boss. And just to kind of point out again here, at this point up in the stage 5 score breakdown, got 0.7 billion in stage 5 from hits alone, which is more than what he's getting from enemies and items combined. It's a good illustration of just how important EX items are, because the more of those he gets, the higher his hit score rate is. So the boss fight opens with these small bits coming at you and firing single bullets, then approaches the stage 5 boss. First section of the boss here is a lot of fast shots, and kind of having a plan for how you're going to move through them is critical. Not a boss you can sight read. The opening to the second phase is just close to the boss and tap dodging the aimed bullets. This purple spread, he can move back and forth quickly, avoid the bullets here. And the second one will just repeat. You see him get as close as possible to death, waiting for it to fire a lot of bullets and shoot him. So this third phase of the boss is actually where it's possible to milk a little bit. Those turrets that fire lasers can be destroyed with the lock-on shot, and every 10 or so will drop an EX item. At this point in the game, it's pretty risky. It's not an easy pattern, especially once turrets start throwing out revenge bullets when they die. And an extra EX item or two is not going to make a big scoring difference at this point. So it's a high risk and relatively small reward. It's kind of worth skipping unless you're desperate for that last couple 100 million. Now the boss gets fun because it starts bouncing around like a ball. It's a very fun pattern, but you really do need to know exactly how the boss behaves here, because it's very easy to get trapped by a short bounce that you weren't expecting. So he has to deal with the boss's bouncing behavior as well as bullets shooting out. Very nice. I think he's on a no miss so far. So the worst is yet to come. The final boss follows the stage 5 boss. So this is just a kind of a basic spread. Bullets are fast, but not particularly complicated. Section, the boss will fire laser in front and a spiral of bullets that track him. So he has to position himself so that he's dodging in a way that doesn't throw him directly into the line of the laser. These are very quick aimed bullets, which he just needs to really cut back through, reaches the edge of the screen, so the gaps in between the waves there. He will have to dodge around the top of the screen while the boss covers the bottom of the screen in lasers. And pattern he starts with this first pattern kind of starting very low on the screen. So here you can kind of see that arrange mode is very generous with giving you the ability to punch shields and give yourself extra hits, particularly in situations like that. He immediately re-enters break mode as soon as he can, partly because this will allow him to do more damage, partly because this is good for scoring. The shot hits score really only becomes valuable when he's in break mode. So, unfortunately, take a hit there. But he's got plenty of lives in stock. He respawned there. You'll notice that he's kind of throwing out a lot of lock-ons over the boss while it's invincible. It's a good way to kind of recover some of his power gauge and back up to speed quickly. Here's the final pattern. Okay, very nice. So for the gain clear bonus, obviously gets his star bonus, which accumulates throughout the run, being about 250,000 for stars and 100 million for each remaining life. So 3 billion is a great score. Done.
Alright, what's going on, people? Yeah, just hold on.